welcome. This is Dr. Jaleesa Barnes, and welcome to my first video of the year. 222, what it do? I know it has been a hot minute, a long time since I last made a video, and to be honest, I just had to take the end of last year and just chill. Like, I had healing to do, I had recovery to do. You know, you ever have a situation in life when it just seems like you just keep getting hit? You know, like you get hit once, you fall down, but you get back up, and then you get hit again, you fall down, you might stagger a little bit, but you get back up, and then you get hit again, and you just fall down that last time, and you just like, I'm gonna just stay here. This feels good here. I'm just gonna, you know. Last year, I just had to stay down for a minute, you know, take some rest, take some real rest. I traveled a little bit. I stayed in the country, but I traveled a little bit. You know, saw some family, saw some friends, some people that I just hadn't had a chance to connect with since before, you know, the start of the pandemic. So I really needed it. I got taken care of instead of trying to do it all by myself. And then I had no choice. I had to stop. But we got some other stuff to talk about. And the first thing I wanted to bring to you guys was why I resigned from my job. For those of you who don't know, I was a school psychologist for the New York City Department of Education for 5 years. And at the end of the last school year, I submitted my resignation and I walked away, and I haven't looked back. The decision in and of itself to actually walk away was really a long time coming, but I actually wasn't planning to walk away when I did. I had a plan for what kind of money I wanted to have. I wanted to be professionally in terms of fully licensed and credentialed, and it just didn't happen that way. It happened earlier than I planned and anticipated. To be honest, I was turned off from this job probably since my first year working in the Department of Education, really before. Just to give a little bit of background, school psychologists in particular are trained on a wide variety of practices. So we're trained to do counseling, we're trained to do behavioral interventions, academic interventions, assessments. Part of the reason I got into school psychology was because you really don't live the same day twice. I was in actual school buildings almost from day one of my training program. It was a very different experience from what it actually is to be a school psychologist in the Department of Education. The biggest problem that I encountered and consistently encountered was administration. Oh, administration. The difference between a good school and a not good school falls on administration. The way administration treats and regards the people that they work with and the people who work under them, it makes such a difference. If you haven't seen the show Abbott Elementary with Quinta Brunson, I strongly suggest that you watch that, because that is a taste of what I experienced when I first started working for the Department of Education, straight down to the principal. If you think the principal on that show is outrageous, principals do that. Not every principal, but there are principals who behave that outrageously and nothing happens to them. And I happened to have one of those. I'm not here to slander anybody, and I'm not gonna go too deep into detail, but let's just be clear. It got to a point where I could only communicate with this person through email. I would not enter anybody's office without a notepad and a pen, because I had to literally write everything down. There are administrators who lie. There are administrators who disrespect their employees, and you can report them, and many of them get away with it. And I know I'm not saying anything groundbreaking or revolutionary. I know there's a lot of jobs out there where people work under people who are just not right, not nice, unethical, and you just want to do your job. That was really, really baffling for me. It's like you fight all the time. Like you fight to get through college, you fight to get through grad school, you fight, you know, to get through your whatever other requirements that are needed, especially for a job like this. There were specific things that I had to prove that I could do before I could get the certifications and the other things that I needed. My certification says that I've been specifically trained in norm reference testing. I've been specifically trained in interpreting evaluations and interpreting IQ scores. Oh, and cognitive processes. I've been specifically trained in these areas. So you can't just call somebody to come sit in my chair and do what I do if they haven't been trained for those things. While that might make somebody feel real good and real special, if you're working with unethical people, you're also very vulnerable to being a scapegoat. I had to learn the hard way about blindly following administration's orders. They never took the time to actually learn about special education, don't know what federal law says. They don't know what the process of special education often is. And a lot of the time, they only take interest in special students. Special students can be kids that have behavioral problems, a kid whose parents you don't want to play with because they'll call the district on you real quick, a high priority case. It's like, well, how come all the kids aren't high priority? And how come it's not high priority for you to have a basic working knowledge of special education and what you can and cannot do? Put a case on my desk, you want a specific outcome, and the school didn't do their part to show that they tried to help the kid before they got to the special education process. So now I'm stuck. Do I just do what the principal is asking me to do? But then I have to answer for anything that goes on that report and on that IEP. I just felt like I was always put in an impossible situation. And it's so disappointing. You fought so long to get the degrees in the first place. And now I get into the job and I gotta fight to do my job. Make it make sense. Well, yeah, that was administration. Honestly, it was just the principle of it for me, no pun intended. I had pretty decent to excellent administrators after that. I just feel like if you're in a job and you have to constantly give up your integrity to do the job, then maybe that's not the job for you. I had to get away. The other thing that really got to me was the nature of the job itself. You're just literally writing reports all day. You're writing IEPs all day. IEPs take a long time to write, but it becomes tedious, and I don't do well with tedium. You can do more and you want to do more. You're trained to do more, but you don't have time to do more because literally testing, writing, meeting, writing, it takes up so much of your time. There were times when I wanted to tap into my clinician side. I had to be very, very careful not to get too caught up in that because I couldn't fall behind on my paperwork. All that said to say, though, is you're just really kind of limited in what you're able to do in that position unless you are willing to overwork yourself. My first year, I took out all the stops. I was staying at work till I was spending extra hours. I would come in at 6:30, 7 a.m. as soon as the building was open, and I'd be in my office. So, I mean, I spent a lot of time trying to make it work. They don't care. So anyway, that was the nature of the job. I wanted to do more with my talents, with my skills. I didn't want to lose the skills that that I gained when I was in school. I feel like your talents are being wasted after a while. And finally, the nature of the educational system just so totally disgusted me. I had to go. Education is about people. It's about children. The educational system is so far away from caring about people. It's about numbers. It's not about children learning at a developmentally appropriate rate. It's about numbers and performance. And every year, this seems to get worse and worse. And every year, the standards seem to get higher and higher. And this did not stop during a global pandemic. And I had so many kids and so many parents and so many teachers who were stressed out all of the time. And I was stressed out all of the time. And they were legit trying to do business as usual. And it was just like, what are you doing here? What are you trying to prove here? Why are we doing evaluations for kids who are not in a typical learning environment? To do what? To classify them as what? Why are we still having a full day of classes? They claim they were doing trauma-informed activities, but Not really. I didn't think it was enough. Like, they really should have just kind of maintained what the kids knew. Life as we know it is significantly interrupted. So why are we pretending like it's not? Why are we ignoring the level of stress parents and staff are under? Why are the compliance dates the same? Why are you giving us the same amount of time to do things knowing that we're not in an office? Kids were so stressed out and the parents were so stressed out. And it was just like, what are y'all doing? I just really kind of got into this feeling of like, I don't want to do this. But I was still plodding along and plugging along. And then I lost my aunt. And after that, no more. I know a lot of people are leaving their jobs, and many of them, I've heard a lot of stories that were similar to mine, or a lot of reasons that were similar to mine for leaving. So if you've thought of leaving your job, or if you've done it, I want to hear what your experience was. So, you know, drop that down in the comments as well, and let's talk about it. Take care, and see you next time.